Hello YouTube, this is Godder Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you today. For this one I have another winter seasonal beer for you, and this brewery was originally based in Colorado but they're now based in Maryland, so we're going over to the USA this time. Both very good beer states actually, so my friends tell me, and I know for a fact that Colorado is, but my friends tell me that Maryland is a very good beer state as well. But today I have for you the Flying Dog K-9 Winter Ale, which is obviously their winter seasonal beer. Now as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery. I've done two Flying Dog reviews for you already, so you'll find the links to those in the video description along with the link to the brewery, so take a look at that if you are interested. But as is usual, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free to go forward to the second half of the video where you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the history of this brewery goes back to 1983 when George Stranahan, who is an astrophysicist, one of the founders actually of the Aspen Center for Physics in Colorado, and 12 others were on an expedition to climb K-2, or Savage Mountain as some have termed it, from Rawalpindi in Pakistan, and this is near Islamabad in the north of the country. I think Islamabad is actually the capital of Pakistan, and this is the second highest mountain in the world and apparently the most deadly as well. For every 4 people who have successfully scaled this mountain, apparently one person has died during these expeditions. But the group had travelled 8,000 miles from Woody Creek in Colorado to make this trip, and during the trip they actually crossed the Baltoro Glacier and the Baltoro Gorge, which had been described by Reinhold Meissner, one of the world's greatest mountain climbers, as the most dangerous thing he had ever done in his life. But George Stranahan, of course, in typical physicist and chemist fashion, said that the biggest disaster on the trip was that on day 17 out of 35 they ran out of booze. This is a very common scientific problem, as I'm sure you can tell. I think a lot of scientists must come up with their good ideas when they're a bit out of it on alcohol. But anyway, upon returning to the hotel they got stuck into the Pakistani selection of alcohol that was available to them. I was quite surprised at this actually. I thought the Pakistanis were quite devout Muslims and wouldn't drink, but you know, you probably get some quite wacky moonshine in some of these countries. But while drinking this Pakistani alcohol they caught sight of a really beautiful painting of a dog that had, quotes, left the ground, and the weirdness of this picture and the words Flying Dog stuck with George Stranahan. But it's quite funny because they don't seem to know whether this actually was a picture of a flying dog or whether they were just stinking drunk at the time. So this is one of the more funny origins of the brewery name, if you like, that I've found when I've been researching all these beers for you. So I think this one's actually quite funny. But in 1990 George Stranahan founded the Flying Dog Brew Pub in Aspen, Colorado. This was the first brewery in Aspen for over 100 years and one of the first brew pubs in the whole of the Rocky Mountain region of the USA. But then they moved on to produce a fully fledged brewery in 1994, this time George Stranahan pairing up with his long-term friend Richard McIntyre. Now in 2006 the Flying Dog acquired the Wild Goose brand when they purchased the Frederick Brewing Company in Maryland, Frederick, Maryland, and the production in Denver ceased at this point and they moved to the Maryland site, with the administrative operations actually remaining in Denver. But this new brewery in Maryland has the capacity today to brew 100,000 barrels of beer per year. But in December 2010, the Logan Shaw Brewing Company purchased the Wild Goose brand from Flying Dog, and they're going to pair the Wild Goose beers with their own selection of craft beers. So you should be seeing these Wild Goose beers back in circulation these days. But that's a brief history of the Flying Dog Brewery for you there. But just to tell you a little bit about the different beers that this brewery offer, they have their regular beer range. This includes the Doggy Style Pale Ale. I've reviewed this one for you already. The Snake Dog IPA, I want to review this one for you at a later date. That's an absolutely beautiful beer, I have to say. There's the Rogue Dog Scottish Porter, which is a Scotch ale. The Tire Bite Golden Ale, which is meant to be really nice as well, I've heard. They have the Old Scratch Lager Amber Lager. This one is supposed to be a steam beer apparently. They have In Heat, which is a Hefeweizen Weiss beer, however you want to describe it. Gonzo Imperial Porter, obviously an Imperial Porter. I think that's a London style porter actually. And they have Horn Dog Barley Wine Style Ale, which is an English barley wine, and the Double Dog Pale Ale. But to tell you the seasonals as well, they have Guard Dog, which is the Bière de Garde. I believe that is the spring seasonal. Woody White Creek, which is the Belgian style wit, that is the summer seasonal. Dogtoberfest Märzen, which is obviously their Oktoberfest beer, or autumn seasonal, or fall as they would say in the States, however you want to describe it. And they have this one, which is the winter seasonal, the K-9 Cruiser, which is an American strong ale. But let's just get on to the tasting of this beer now. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork and stuff stuff and cap on this one. The artwork that's on this bottle, apparently, the artwork is that of British cartoonist Ralph Steadman, who is best known as being the illustrator for Hunter S. Thompson's books, and he's apparently a famous American author and journalist from Kentucky. I'll need to research what he actually wrote about for the next flying dog video for you, but I'll just bring up the camera and make sure you're seeing that quite well. As you can see there, it's got a dog there with a kind of skull. I'm not sure if that's actually the dog's face or if it's like wearing a skull mask or something like that, but you get some kind of crazy artwork on these things. The flying dog artwork is actually pretty nice, I have to say, but that's the K-9 bottle for you here, and this is the typical sort of flying dog top label on here, and here is the flying dog bottle cap for you. This is the same bottle cap on all their beers, there's no variation there, but this one is a 7.4% American strong ale. Apparently it's the hops and malts with this one change with every year that they produce it, so it should be quite interesting. Every year that you try this one, you'll get a different flavour. You should get some sort of different flavours out of it. But let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting here. I'm quite interested to try this one because the only apparent consistency with this one that they do is they use English yeast ale, so this one should be interesting. So this one popped open, a nice bit of smoke there on the opening, but let's get this guy poured. A nice rich sort of coppery colour coming out of this one here. Let's just sugar up the last little bit and try and get some head on this here. That's a nice head coming out on this one here. I'll just let the rest of that run off. But as you can see, it's actually more of a kind of reddy mahogany copper colour actually. It's really nice. Really nice looking beer. I'll just bring up the camera to make sure you're seeing that in perfect light, but as you can see with this one, it's a really nice sort of reddish mahogany colour here. I'll just bring the light over so you can see that, but it's a really nice sort of reddish copper colour, almost a wine-like colour actually to this one. I'm not sure if mahogany is the sort of right way to describe this, but it's a really nice looking beer, and as you can see, it's maybe just about a finger of head on here, a nice foamy head there, some bigger bubbles in there, but that's going to leave some really nice lacing on the glass as I drink this here, I would say. There is just a little bit of carbonation visible in here, some very kind of small bubbles going up to the top, but not a lot at all. I think this should be quite a smooth beer, but some of these things can surprise you, I have to say. In terms of the aroma here, this is quite a nice smelling one actually. In terms of the aroma, it's quite malty on the nose. You're getting some caramel and toffee and quite a bit of roasted character actually. I want to say there's perhaps just a little bit of chocolate in there as well. But there's a good bit of dark fruit too, I think, and I think, yeah, the chocolate seems to be quite prominent. When I'm sniffing that in quite deeply, there's a good bit of chocolate in there, definitely. This is a really nice smelling beer, I have to say. Yeah, this one's going to be good, I think. But yeah, lots of caramel, toffee, brown sugar notes, a bit of chocolate, and a main chocolatey backbone in there, I would say, and there is some dark fruit too. It's kind of it's reminiscent of quite a lot of strong ales actually, but let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on. Remember, this is a 7.4% winter strong ale or American strong ale, however you want to describe it. Yeah, really malty beer here. Chocolate I'm getting on the very first sip. The head, as you can see, is fading on this one, but yeah, malty flavours coming out again. You're getting the caramel and toffee notes with the chocolate behind it. The chocolate is actually quite dark. I think maybe just a little hint of coffee in here as well, but maybe that's some roasted character actually. Yeah, quite a bit of sort of coffee and chocolate character there, but some kind of caramel, brown sugar, toffee sort of notes in the background to it. It's mainly the coffee that's coming up front with this one. There's maybe just a little hint of spicy character to it actually when you get into the malts in the middle. The fruits are coming a bit later on. You're getting some sort of raisin and plum flavours with this one. We're getting just a little bit of hoppy bitterness as well, but this is a very malty beer, as you would expect from a sort of winter strong ale. A very, very malty flavour with a lot of kind of chocolate, a little hint of coffee if you like as well, and a nice kind of caramel and chocolatey, caramel roasty background in there. It's a really, really nice beer, this one, I have to say. But yeah, at the end, the chocolate's coming back in, and you've got a sort of lingering fruit underlying there. There's maybe just a little hint of earthy character throughout in this one. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Definitely give this a try if you get the chance, and it's only available for a couple of months out of the year. I think this one was December to maybe February that they were offering this one, and then the spring one will come out. But this is another nice one. I'd be interested to try this on tap actually, where you'll get a bit more of the malty flavours. They'll be a bit more obvious. But yeah, sort of a big coffee dark chocolate thing coming on at the start here. You've got the caramel and toffee flavours in the background, and I think there's a bit of spice and earthy character just underlying through this one. But the roasted character's in there. You're getting the fruits at the end. I think you're getting sort of dried fruits, raisins and plums sort of thing, and you're getting just a little bit of hoppy bitterness at the end where the chocolate comes back in, and you've got that lingering sort of dried raisin plum flavours in there. This is a really nice one, and just as I say, a little hint of earthy character throughout. In terms of the mouthfeel with this one, it's actually, I would describe this as mid-bodied. It's not very syrupy actually. It's fairly drinkable, but it does have quite a smooth feel to it. The carbonation is quite soft, but it does stick with it and smooths it out in that way, and it does thin out a little bit towards the end, to be honest with you. It is fairly easy drinking, in honesty. I actually wish that I knew what types of hops and malts and things like that they'd used in this one. It'd be quite cool if they published a list on their website of the different profiles that each of these have had, and I could review this beer every year for you and tell you how it's different from the last year, and then you could sort of get a picture of why it's different as well with the different hops and malts that they're using in this thing. But this is a really interesting one, and I do quite like this. I have to say, I really want to do the Snake Dog Pale Ale for you from this brewery at one point, but definitely give anything you find from the Flying Dog Brewery a check out if you haven't already. They do some really nice beers actually, and this is one of the beers that I'll really remember when I go over to the States in the summer. I'll need to try and get some of their more their rarer beers, if you like, over there. But I hope you found this beer review informative. I've enjoyed doing another Flying Dog beer review for you, and another winter seasonal beer, of course. This is a really, really nice one, as I was saying. It's quite unusual that the chocolate's coming before the caramel flavours and stuff. It's got a really sort of unique malty base to it, so give this one a try if you get the chance. You'll only be able to get it for the next few months, so hunt it out and give it a try. You'll find the brewery website in the video description, as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you are interested in this one. But I hope this beer review has been informative for you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on this beer. I really like the Flying Dog Brewery, as I say. But please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I hope you're enjoying your festive period as I am, and I'll catch you soon with another beer review. Thanks for your support. Cheers.